Yo, what's up YouTubers, welcome back to my channel of an everyday life of an ASP, or shall we say, back to the Beauty from Ashes channel playlistings of what I've been bringing to you right now, basically, with a few video messages that I feel that tissue on my heart right now. As you're fully aware, basically, at this moment of time, I was talking about basically Opinions Don't Matter Part 1, basically, and this was broken up into two parts, which now is part 2 of this, which will be based on the relationship status quo, a bit more in depth to the little bit that I did on the opinions part 1, however, of, don't matter. As I mentioned though, basically in the first part, just to give you guys an overview, I basically was talking about basically like the changes that were needed for us to be made in 2016 and beyond if we want to make it our year, basically, by being in a champion mode or just a champion mindset, basically believing that, having with these goals and dreams and visions to become fruitful by our attitude as well as by obviously for our action or doing, so to speak, as well as basically changing the mindset of ours of certain things that does come to pass sometimes, regardless where we're at in our lives. However, also basically it's all about having the right goals and achieving them, as I said, basically moving forward and removing the dramas, basically the haters, and all that. Needing to grow in ourselves, basically, people's opinions, basically, we need to ask ourselves, adding or subtracting into our life, the social media, how it affects us and the relationships that we're with, be it boyfriend, girlfriend, family, friends, whatever it may be. Also about how the social media can change us in a way of our perspective, because as I said, that's with the media, when it comes down to posting, commenting and the like, it's like a selling yourself point turntable of basically like a label or a designer brand, we could call it. Also basically, also how we need to know about knowing our circle, who's in our social circle, and the media in general, basically sharing our relationship status and feeding out and opening out invitations for what it is like, and keeping things between us, however, of the person that we're with, maybe in private, however, instead of broadcasting it on social media. But this one is a bit more in depth to what I shared with you all in the very beginning, however, basically, of the Opinions Don't Matter Part 1, basically, as I shared briefly, which I'll go over it to what I believe should be as a little key reminder. Like, when it comes down to our relationships, regardless what I said, okay, we should basically leave the relationship status quo maybe blank or in private, and actually also basically at this point of time, if we are basically working together as a team, there's no I in it anymore, it's the we, working as a team in that status quo of our relationship. Even though, like, when it comes down to it though, we need to work together, communicate, listen to each other, grow with each other, learn from each other, accept one another faults and flaws, imperfections. As I said before, some people may be acting as if, while in a relationship it's a curse, or some people may be giving this messages for some people that are, in a relationship, that they're acting like they're single when they're not, so, when it comes down to those type ones, people should just either be clear to what they want and that, because it's sad reality many of times now that many people just want to jump into each other's pants, or just trying to compete to the point of no return of how many boyfriend and girlfriends they can score in one given moment. Some people acting as if it's a curse of a relationship, as I said, thinking it's maybe terrible and bad at the same time, despite what they've been through, be it being an abusive relationship, that, they can't find the trust anymore factor with people around them. So it's like give and take, and also basically building up that trust again, basically proving us wrong, that you're not the bad person, not to give up on each other, basically, and put each other down. People treat the way we want to be treated, the golden rule. Many of the times that we're treated as a stranger in a relationship, however. People talk about their partner to family and friends and don't talk to their partner about certain problems, which me included, which I'm in guilt for at the moment when it comes down to it. But some of it I just want to address, hopefully, as just a little learning curve, hopefully, for us all as well here. Nobody needs to know our business, obviously, about our relationship status quo. So, we can let other people say and think what they like about our relationship, and we need to talk about certain things and change a few things in our relationship. So no further ado, guys, this is part 2 of the Opinions Don't Matter, part 2. So hopefully you'll learn something from it, as well as from all these other, video messages I've been sharing with you all so far, like in the series or what have you, So let's continue about the relationships and the social media of part 2. So let's begin. We all need to stop taking or making certain announcements of problems in a relationship in the public's eye of the social media for all peeping toms to see. Also just for the sake of basically, our problems that we may be facing with our partner, even if we just feel that we want to really rant rave on social media, keep it behind closed doors, as I said before, and trying to see if you can actually connect with your partner and talk about it, in private. Because obviously we know that with these peeping toms that wants to see the status relationship quo and whatnot, it tends to open up the invitation yet again, and they'll entertain with us as we need to handle it in private. We should be able to be man and woman enough to actually take accountability and responsibility for our own actions, however, and be man and woman enough to actually sort out our own problems, as well as the personal affairs with each other, instead of, in a relationship. We should be able to trust each other, period, support each other in the relationship, instead of doing the quite opposite that many people tend to do, me included. I'm the guilty culprit. I have done that in the past, maybe being, that toxic girlfriend, basically being so clingy to the point of no return. But then again, I'm learning now, based on my everyday quote about it, respect your relationship, sort of thing. What happens when you post something or send invitations out about your relationship, however, with that someone, people will know exactly who you're really talking about. You don't need to name names, they'll just automatically know. It will just spread like wildfire, so to speak, especially on social media. When you send the invitations out or write a status for people to be in your business, however, heaven knows, in society they're going to walk right on before you know it. When you send out that invitation out or write a status quo about it, basically you brought in some bullies who love to entertain with it. Being entertained when things don't get worked out, guess what? That particular someone will see that particular someone that you're the bad cook, banging on about that particular someone while you're doing the bad thing, not the other person that you were banging on about that they were doing the bad. So you're actually just as fault to blame as basically the other person when you actually, made out that they were the culprit one. You to forget about your other half still seeing that other person as a person and no good because you talked bad about them, as that's one of the many reasons why relationships crumble and fail today than ever before, or don't seem to want to work, because obviously, all the backstabbing, lying, many people wants to just be left alone and not, to have find that particular someone in their life, even if there is a particular someone out there for them. Fix it in-house and in private by talking to your partner about your problems, regardless what it may be. Keep private things private, as I said. Update any problems to God, Allah, or whoever you may believe in, so that you can have peace in your life. Update the problems with God, not the social media. People in relationships support each other with the dreams, goals, and visions that you may have. Be their biggest cheerleader, be their biggest super fan, or supporter, shall we say. Nobody else to support them more but you. Even if you don't understand why they're doing what they're doing in the first place, basically, in their life, just support them anyway, because obviously God gave them that vision for a reason. So it's not for you to mock and actually judge them for this. Support them. Start doing something in your life. You may have their best interests at heart, but bear in mind though, something you got to understand. If there's something that they're passionate about, something that they're hungry for, of their passions they've got, should somehow excite you as well. Get ready to celebrate, get ready to push on forward and actually be their supporter, number one fan. Again, nobody should be their bigger supporter than you. They shouldn't put down by you, they should be uplifting you and supporting you regardless, and say to your partner maybe these few words: you've got this, I believe in you, keep going, I've got your back. Who cares about what the world says or others may think or say about you? I've got your back no matter what. I'm going to ride it out with you. You fail, we'll fail together. You succeed, we succeed together. We're going to make this happen. We'll make this happen. Support each other in your relationship, period. When was the last time you both spoke about your goals, dreams and visions? Most of the time when in a relationship you talked all about stuff that doesn't really matter or seem to exist of what's really going on. Basically, is it maybe watching TV all day or being on your cell phone all day? You argue a lot, you don't want, or seem to compromise about anything in the relationship or just anything in general. Pardon me. When was the last time you went up to your BFG, wifey, hubby, whatever label material you want to call them, and say that I encourage you, like, what's your dreams and goals and visions, passions, standards, where do you want to go in life, what do you want to do? This is beautiful, and this will show them what it means to them that you're interested, supported, loving, and all the other best interests at heart that you have for them. That will make them feel that they know that they're appreciated, loved, wanted, and actually being supported. Knowing that someone cares about your life interests, etc., is probably the most incredible, warm and fuzzy feeling on earth and in the world. That makes us happy. Knowing that you're appreciated and wanted is an incredible feeling, especially from the ones who loves us for us. So I challenge you all, if you are in a relationship, to ask those questions that I've just mentioned, to maybe communicate with your significant other and connect with them regardless of that label material, be it your boyfriend, girlfriend, wifey, hubby, etc. So surprise them not just in the materialistical things, because obviously, as we know, some materialistic things don't always last. Just do some of the smaller things in life and appreciate them. Maybe to give them a box of chocolates, make them dinner, treat them out somewhere, reconnect with each other by creating that big spark from when you first started dating, and make it brand new, so it doesn't spark out. Be addicted to life. Be addicted to that smile that they give to you. Converse and connect with each other. Renew that relationship, as I shared before, by just basically doing new things, by getting to know each other again. It's alright to get to know each other, because obviously I said that we usually do grow with each other, and sometimes we change through certain seasons. Converse with each other. Don't let all of this that I'm sharing with you get out of date, however, along with other important factors that is important in a relationship to build a stronger foundation for you both. Trust your teammate. If they don't give you a reason to trust them anyway. Stick with them and trust them. If you forgive them to whatever was said and done between you, trust them. Forgiveness doesn't dig back up what you've buried and want to forget about. However, you forgave that person wholeheartedly. They shouldn't give you a reason to self-doubt them in any way. Trust them. Trust is a sign, basically, for everything. Communication is the fuel of a relationship too. Without this communication process, the relationship is dead, period. So communicate with that person. Make it a goal tonight to reach out to your partner, be it whoever it may be, or with at the moment, and get involved with something. Maybe they're going on a warrant of fitness journey of change. You shouldn't have to question or doubt them in what they're doing though, however. Be their biggest supporter, as I said. Going on a fitness journey, maybe they could be going on, to lose some weight for themselves as a goal. Basically, maybe say to them, I'll go with you and support you in what you're doing right now, instead of just saying, all these other negativities that I hear about. Maybe if they are starting a business one day, say to them this, where can I start or help you with this? Maybe you can also bring in some research or something that will help them to actually make their business, flourish. Allow them to give you permission to do so, however. We all now and again basically need to get out of our comfort zone and let them know what we need and know that we're appreciated from what they're doing for us. To the ones that are in a relationship that doesn't want to be in one or isn't working for you, however, this one's for you as a message. You know that it's toxic, it's bad for you and your partner. If you see and feel like nothing's changing, be it yourself or that other person, or even this current situation that you're going round and round the mulberry bush, however, basically just realize basically you're going around the same mulberry bush and something needs to change, even if you have to leave, period. Realize in 2016, even though we're in mid-year, almost the end of the year, or even make it from today onwards, while you're tackling that same problem over and over again, after a while it's not them because they've showed you who they were, and it's not their fault that you're not choosing to believe it, or them of that current situation. If they've broken your heart 600 times or more, basically it's on you, not them. You can't change people, which I'm learning now. They got to change themselves when they're ready. However, somebody won't change it until they're ready to change, Unfortunately, this is a sad reality about people. Will change after you decide to walk away from the situation or that current person you're with if you've had enough. I don't mean going through some little things here and there, that can be fixed, but maybe, just to a point of the little things that you want to stop or even just quit. I'm talking about the ones that has been abused, used, you name it, that kind of rough relationship, status quo. Time and time again it wasn't working, or it's not working. It's been giving them a lot of chances of your partner. There's a difference between going through things and selling big time. To the people who's selling, stop ignoring the red flags. You already know the warning signs, so why are you returning back there? You've seen it in your friendships too. We're so in love with hope, we're in love with that potential, but the beautiful thing is, blech, you may feel ugly and look ugly. Unfortunately, not everyone has met it. Hunger for change and growth is important here though, however, so therefore if it means to walk away, do so now while you can, while in this relationship that is maybe toxic or abusive or whatever else it may be. You'll never quit on progression if you see someone grow. Make changes, never quit on that though, however. When you see someone repeating the same old, okay, with the same mistakes, it's not a mistake no more. A mistake happens one or two times, but if someone repeats that same mistake, however, more than once, that person is trying to choose you, to treat you that way for a reason. And obviously you allowed them to treat you that way, of that form of abuse or that form of emotional blackmail that they've been doing to you for quite some time. So they're obviously, aren't very uncomfortable with the comfortable. But then again, they are comfortable in a way of treating you the way they are treating you because you're allowing them to do that. And then in this time frame when you're allowing that to degrade you, you're losing your self-worth, obviously, your self-respect for yourself and everything else that's important in yourself. Don't let anyone take advantage of your forgiveness or just you in general as a person. Yes, forgiveness is made involuntary. Another chance and sixth chance or more. These chances are, however, optional. Understand the difference. Forgiveness is mandatory and we're always to forgive, but staying in that same situation is optional. Protect your heart, protect your word, protect everything about you. You need to be healthy, you need to be strong, you need to be able to be you. You need to cut ties if need be when you know enough is enough. Don't stay stuck in these toxic relationships, however, or even those toxic situations that's risen, because obviously, as I said, you'll end up losing yourself in the process. and that's not this, as we know, this is not good for us in the long haul. More chances we give them, the more you know that their threats are invalid and empty. They know that you're walking away is never going to happen. They may think you're bluffing, they may think you're just lying, so they'll still continue to treat the way that they're treating you because you're again allowing that to happen. Okay, obviously the more chances you give them, the more likelihood that, you know, you're going to basically lose your self-worth, and that they'll do everything and say everything right to get you back and win you back when you choose to, you know, not walk away or about to walk away. They'll apologize, they'll ask forgiveness, etc. You get messed up as a person inside out. You start doubting and questioning everything about you versus your self-worth, your values, not knowing how to love yourself. Your work has been manipulated by someone who's lost themselves, so they try to control you no matter what. A relationship won't say if someone is lost in themselves or not dealt or coped with whatever was going on in their life. However, sometimes getting in a relationship with someone who still is hurt from the past, if they haven't dealt with the past, they'll surface to the top and then creates extra baggage to the next relationship. If you do end up going into the next relationship, if you do decide to, you know, find another relationship after you have the time to heal and everything else to get to know you better as a person. Sometimes we've got to realise that some things aren't our fault, some things are, you know, beyond our control, shall I say. Excuse my tongue, is getting tight. Somebody doesn't have to be afraid to lose you. No, they don't have to. But what they need to know is this. They need to know how to respect you no matter what it is that you're not going to be pushed around or over. You're not going to ignore your standards. You're not going to be abused in any way anymore. You're not going to be their doormat. You're not going to be abused me at all times kind of thing. You're not going to be kept on being lied to, or you're not going to be taken as a fool anymore. They may not be afraid to lose you, and they need to know you're not afraid to walk away from them, or even that situation, from that, you know, abusive relationship or whatever it may be. They may not be afraid to lose you, but they need to know they need to know this: enough is enough, you know, for you. You need to spread your wings and fly away, period. You need time to heal, you need time to change, you need time to do everything for your own accordance, you're on your own. They will then begin to respect you. Respect may mean you're not there and that someone else may benefit that change they've made if they do choose to change. It's a part of life, and a sad reality is that sometimes some people don't see that they're the problem. They keep on pointing the finger that they are quite the opposite is the problem. Don't lose yourself because you've lost a relationship, because you lose somebody or you lost yourself in that relationship, or losing somebody into that relationship by leaving your life. You'll need the God to survive through this and trust in Him. I know it hurts when you love and lost someone and break up with them. Believe you me, we've been all through those breakups, and breakups sucks like hell. For sure, I understand this. You know, been through it, been there, done that. But you've got to remember, it's not the end of your world. Sometimes it takes the wrong relationships, a lot of times that we go through, you know, relationship after relationship after the wrong ones, to then prepare for the right one that we're with, you know. Regardless, you'll have to go through the bad relationships though, however. You know what's right for you. You can identify what's right for you. You don't need to be manipulated, controlled, etc. no more. You can break free from that, from all that control, manipulation, everything. Never get comfortable though, however. Appreciate and be thankful that you're alive, and well, you are irreplaceable. You aren't replaceable. You're irreplaceable. Well, basically that ends opinions part 2. Give me the like for thumbs up for support for engagement. Feel free to comment below. Feel free to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, basically. Feel free to message me either on AspieAnswersAll or on YouTube if you want to rant, rave, or just maybe give me a heads up, or basically maybe some, topics if you want to, or just want someone just to be there just to give you some sound advice or whatever, you know, just a hearing board. Feel free to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so, which I'm hoping to do, you know, as I said, daily, but it might just be shortened down to maybe 2-3 videos a week, but don't fret, you know, I'll be around anyway regardless, probably doing what I have to do. So, and all for the those guys, thanks for your support so far, you know, without you guys, with the encouragement of your comments and that, well, I've been supporting you guys, you know. Hopefully we can make this a better channel somehow by connecting, engaging and everything else, doing the right thing by just, you know, not tearing each other down of the dreams and visions of whatever people may have. So, look for the video guys, do what you love what you do. Until next time, I'll see you all again soon.